So what really makes a great leader? Is it something they're just born with, some kind of magic personality trait? Or is it about what they actually do? Well, today we're diving into a really powerful idea, that leadership isn't about who you are, it's about your actions. And the best part? It's a skill you can actually build. Let's get into it.
I mean, it's the age-old question, isn't it? Are great leaders born, or are they made? For the longest time, the common wisdom was, yeah, they're born with it. But the behavioral approach, which is what we're talking about, totally flips that script. It says, nope, leadership isn't some special gift. It's a set of behaviors, of actions, that pretty much anyone can learn and get really good at.
Okay, so for a long time, if you were studying leadership, you were all about trait theory. The idea was that great leaders just had this special sauce, certain built-in qualities. But then, around the middle of the 20th century, everything started to change. Researchers had this major pivot. They started asking a much more practical question. Forget who they are for a second. What do great leaders actually do? And believe me, this shift from focusing on traits to focusing on actions was a total game changer.
And this really gets to the heart of the difference. On one hand, you've got the trait approach, which is all about trying to create a checklist of a leader's personality. Are they charismatic? Are they intelligent? But on the other hand, you have the behavioral approach, which is what we're focused on. And it says, look, leadership is a set of skills and actions, things you can see, things you can learn, and things you can get better at. It really just boils down to behavior.
So, okay, if leadership is about behavior, what kind of behaviors are we talking about? Well, some really groundbreaking studies, from places like Ohio State and the University of Michigan, they looked at everything leaders do, and they boiled it all down to just two really fundamental categories. It's all about behaviors focused on the task and behaviors focused on the people. That's it.
All right, first up, we've got task behaviors. This is pretty straightforward. It's all the stuff a leader does to make sure the job gets done. Organizing the work, telling people what their roles are, setting up schedules. Think of a project manager laying out a timeline, or a coach designing a new play. It's all about structure, making things clear, and hitting that final goal.
And then you've got the other side of the coin, relationship behaviors. Now, these actions aren't about the nuts and bolts of the work. They're all about the people who are doing the work. This is where a leader builds trust, shows respect, and really creates a positive vibe where everyone on the team feels comfortable and, valued. Okay, this is where things get really interesting. How do we put these two ideas, task and relationship, together? Well, back in the 1960s, two researchers, Robert Blake and Jane Mouton, came up with this absolutely brilliant tool to help us visualize it. It's called the managerial grid, and it's basically a map for plotting out different leadership styles based on these two key behaviors.
And the genius of it is really in its simplicity. Just imagine a graph. Along the bottom, the horizontal axis, you've got concern for production. That's our task behavior. And then going up the side, the vertical axis, you've got concern for people. That's our relationship behavior. Each axis has a simple 1 to 9 scale, which gives us a way to map out and understand all these different leadership approaches.
Now, before you panic, we are not going to go through all the different styles. The grid is really useful because it highlights 5 key styles that sit at the corners and the very center. Think of them like 5 leadership personas. They give us this really great shorthand for talking about and understanding different ways to lead. So let's meet them.
First up, let's head down to the bottom right corner of the grid, to position 9-1. This is the Authority Compliance Manager. This person is all gas, no brakes when it comes to production, a 9 out of 9. But when it comes to people, a 1. For this kind of manager, things like feelings or morale are just noise getting in the way of the goal. People are basically seen as tools to get the work done, period.
All right, now let's swing all the way over to the top left corner, to 1-9. This is the Country Club Manager, and it is the polar opposite. We're talking a 9 for concern for people, but only a 1 for production. The main goal here is to make sure everyone is happy, comfortable, and getting along. The hope is that if the atmosphere is good, the work will just kind of take care of itself.
Okay, down in the bottom left corner at a 1-1, we find the Impoverished Manager. This leader is, well, low on everything. Low concern for production and low concern for people. They're basically just going through the motions, doing the absolute bare minimum to not get fired. They're uninvolved, withdrawn, and their main goal is usually just to fly under the radar and avoid blame. Smack dab in the middle of the grid, at 5-5, you'll find the middle-of-the-road manager. This leader is the king of compromise. They're always trying to find a balance, a safe middle ground between getting work done and keeping people happy. But here's the catch. By trying to be everything to everyone, they can end up being just okay. The results are adequate, morale is fine, nothing is terrible, but nothing is ever great either.
And that brings us to the top right corner, the 9-9, the team manager. Now this is the style that really tries to have it all, a high concern for production and a high concern for people. This leader is all about building teamwork and getting everyone committed because they believe everyone has a common stake in the outcome. For them, people and production aren't a trade-off, they're two sides of the same coin that fuel each other.
So let's pull back for a second and look at them all together on the grid. Now you can really see the whole landscape, right? From the totally checked out impoverished manager to the fully engaged team manager. This isn't just some boring chart from a textbook. It's a really powerful way to talk about and make sense of the different choices leaders are making all the time.
Okay, so looking at that grid, it's kind of obvious who the good guy is supposed to be, right? The 9-9 team manager seems like the clear winner. But let's pause for a second. Is it really that simple? Can one style actually be the best no matter what the situation is?
While the creators of the grid, Blake and Mouton, definitely thought so. Their research led them to conclude that yes, the 9-9 style was the single best way to lead. For them, it was the gold standard, the one clear goal that every leader should be striving for.
But, and this is a big but, the real world is a lot messier than that. Later research has really struggled to prove that the 9-9 style is always the top performer. The truth is, context is everything. Think about it. A firefighter leading a crew into a burning building, they probably need to be a 9-1 do-it-now leader in that moment. What works in one country or culture might totally fail in another. So this idea of a one-size-fits-all best style, it doesn't really hold up.
So if the point isn't just to become a 9-9 manager, then what's the use of this grid? Well, its real power isn't about giving you a single right answer. It's about giving you a tool for self-awareness and a map for your own personal growth.
At the end of the day, this whole behavioral approach is really a framework to help you learn and understand. It gives you a language and a lens to look at your own actions, and, maybe most importantly, to get a better idea of how other people see you. It's like a mirror for your leadership style.
So, how can you actually use this for yourself? It's pretty simple. First, ask yourself, where do I usually operate on this grid? What's my default style? Then, think about what happens under pressure. What's your backup style when things get tough? But the most critical step is number 3. Find out how other people see you. You have to get that feedback, because only then can you really start thinking about what behaviors you might want to change to be the leader you want to be.
And really, that's what this is all about. This grid isn't a test where you get a score. It's a map to help you think about your own leadership. So I'll leave you with this question. Based on what you actually do, where do you think you fall on the grid today? And maybe the more important question is, where do you want to be to become the leader your team really needs you to be?